Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are delinquents. Yes, oh yes, their Archewell Foundation has gotten a little bit behind apparently with its state filings. Now, this has been explained in the mainstream media, and I think this is broadly true that this was some sort of really clerical error or something like that, because apparently the couple did send the check, or their foundation did, but it got lost in the mail. Now, that is a legitimate excuse, but at the same point too, it is kind of odd because obviously they have a huge international footprint. And wouldn't you think making sure they could actually operate their charity, which they say is really the big focus of their lives in so many ways, because service is universal. Wouldn't you think one of the most universal things about running their foundation is making sure they can actually run their foundation? Because at this point, the couple can't even accept donations, although they technically were not, but they also couldn't release any funds. And what's critical right now is that they sort of were in Nigeria. So they were operating seemingly, potentially outside the law during that trip, because their foundation, their charity, couldn't really be in operation. And of course, that is an epic disaster for them the day after their Nigerian trip ended. And we will do a whole video on that. Do not worry, because that is the most bizarre, cringy, crazy, weird tour of anything I have ever seen. And so we will go and do a deep dive on that. But right now, obviously, everybody's talking about this Archewell thing. And I won't spend a ton of time on it because, yes, I think mostly this was probably a clerical error somewhere along the way. But the critical thing here is that Harry and Meghan, they put so much emphasis on the good work of their foundation, how this is the core of what they're doing. And yet somehow this whole situation fell through the cracks. How did they not know? How did they operate technically illegally? Because they got that letter May 3rd, and it is currently now, according to the calendar on my computer, May 13th. So they've been aware of this for at least 10 days, but they still did their Nigeria trip. They still promoted Archewell, vaguely, kind of, sort of, but without actually being technically in legal operation according to the state of California. There are certain things they cannot do right now. So this whole series of things gets me really thinking, what is the purpose of Archewell Foundation? And are Harry and Meghan really all that focused on it? Or is it simply a means to an end? And we will discuss this today. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, hello, my name is Brittany. I provide you all compelling royal commentary. So if you guys want to know more about Harry and Meghan and all the royals, yes, we are behind on the Crown Report, but we'll get one of those out here very, very soon. Feel free to hit that subscribe button. The Crown Report goes over all royal families. It is one of my favorite things to do because I love discussing all royals, not just Harry and Meghan, but sometimes you just don't get time to do everything. And obviously, everybody is talking about this, which is so bad for Harry and Meghan. And I know some people wonder too, well, why do we always talk about Harry and Meghan? We talk about Harry and Meghan a lot because they're sort of critical to understanding what is going on within the broader royal context, because Harry and Meghan, everything they do nearly every single time diminishes what the monarchy means to people. They are turning it into a celebrity sideshow attraction. And it's bad, I think, for all royal families, because at the end of the day, royals serve a very important and critical function. And if people think they're merely celebrities, well, that diminishes that, because Charles is not a celebrity. He is the head of state. And so are other monarchs throughout Europe. They serve this very important ceremonial, sometimes even religious role within their country. And so it's incredibly important to understand royals and how Harry and Meghan take it and twist it into something that it really is not, because there is so much misinformation out there. And if you love royals and love talking about them and want an opportunity to meet some people who enjoy talking about them as well, I have an upcoming trip with members of this community to go to Germany and the Czech Republic around Christmas. We will be touring the Christmas markets in addition to trying to go to as many palaces. We'll try to go to the Green Vault and dress in so many things. It'll be a great way to ring in the holidays and a really, really unique and fun, interesting opportunity. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to check out the link up above. I would love for you to join us because we have a couple signed up, but we need a couple more. And I'm just like so excited. I'm so excited for that trip. It's going to be amazing, because before that, I'm planning to go to Sweden for the Nobels and cover that, which I've wanted to do forever. Hopefully that will happen. So guys, feel free to check that out. Okay, so into this story, because I was going to do a whole thing on Harry and Meghan's Nigeria tour, and I will still do that. But this Archewell thing came up, and obviously everybody is talking about it. Archewell is delinquent officially to the state. The state considers it delinquent right now. And that's because some of their charity filings apparently did not go through in some sort of way. And it seems like this was something that simply got lost in the mail. Yes, the official excuse is that it got lost in the mail. So let's see what People Magazine has to say, because everybody is covering this. You can't really avoid it, although I'm sure Harry and Meghan would be like, please stop talking about this. Please stop talking about this. But everybody is obviously focusing in on this so much. And so People Magazine was recently with them on their Nigerian tour. They were kind of the publication that could cover the event, because Harry and Meghan obviously don't like the British press, don't like what the British press, how they cover them, because People Magazine is a celebrity mouthpiece. And obviously the British press is not that. They are generally reporting the news. They are reporting analysis on royals. And they obviously know, looking at Harry and Meghan, and it's like, you guys ain't doing it right. So Harry and Meghan obviously don't want any of that, but they did allow People. And so here is what People says. And so Harry and Meghan have been ordered to halt soliciting or spending for their Archewell Foundation after being declared delinquent by the California Registry of Charities and Fundraisers. Yes, they are delinquents. A source close to Archewell tells People that the initial check was sent, but not received. The foundation expects the issue to be resolved quickly. And so this is according to the Attorney General of California. The charity is now listed as delinquent with the Registry of Charities and Fundraisers for failing to submit annual reports and or renewed fees. An organization that is listed as delinquent is not in good standing and is prohibited from engaging in conduct for which registration is required, including soliciting or distributing charitable funds. The organization may also be subject to penalties, and its registration may be suspended or revoked by the registry. Once you submit the delinquent records, you will be notified of the amount of any late fees that are owed. So the New York Post was the first report, and I remember seeing this coming through the wires on social media, and I was hesitant to look at it initially because there is so much, and I feel like misinformation or not clear information going on even the royal side when it comes to Harry and Meghan. And so people post things like, for example, the very much the fake Twitter post that Kensington Palace allegedly admitted Meghan used a surrogate, which is totally and completely fake. And I see that all the time and people still believe it. So I was hesitant at first, but this is definitely official and every major outlet has it. Every single major outlet has it. Every single major outlet is reporting on it. This is not how you want to end a charity tour. And it's kind of ironic because obviously Harry and Meghan fans were taking this opportunity while the couple were in Nigeria to point out Catherine and William in Jamaica and those absolutely inane and stupid narrative that somehow Catherine and William shaking hands with people through a chain link fence was racist, even though the fence was there. It's not like they could move the fence. It just such a ridiculous thing. And obviously fences are utilized for crowd controls and various things. And so it's like, so you guys wanted them to ignore the people putting their hands through the chain link fence? I don't understand. So there's just so much misinformation within the royal space here. So I was looking at that going, is this true? But very much is. And this is bad for Harry and Meghan. This is so incredibly bad. And obviously, again, like I said, caveat, this could be obviously a clerical error. But here's the thing, and here's the thing that Harry and Meghan should have been so on top of, because when it comes to their charitable endeavors, myself and many other people question their validity, their intention, all those sorts of things, because we wonder, are you really doing charity for charity, or is it part of an agenda? Is the Archewell Foundation simply set up to help you avoid certain taxes because you can say, well, we gave an amount of money to this charity, and because of that, we don't have to pay X taxes because obviously they're bringing in a lot of income. And so if you are in that situation, what you never, ever, ever want to do is be seen as not being appropriately registered at any given time, because it gives people like me and my thought process sort of validity, because what it tells us is that maybe that is somewhat true because you weren't paying attention enough to it to make sure you addressed this particular topic, because that's sort of what it tells me. And obviously as well that you're willing to skirt things when it suits you. So the couple and their team had to know by May 3rd that they were delinquent, that they were not in good standing, And they still went to Nigeria and they still promoted Archewell. Meghan did a whole speech, and behind her it said Archewell Foundation, founded by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, even though, again, nobody really knows what the Archewell Foundation does. And so because of that, it really looks like they were skirting the law on certain issues. And again, I don't know the details of this. I could be totally wrong, but it just looks really rather fishy. And that's just what Harry and Meghan don't want to do, is they don't want to fuel the rumors and the issues that already exist. People are already talking about X. And so what are they doing? They're giving validity to this by essentially saying that, yes, so we were delinquent in paying certain things. And I'm like, oh, that's just, again, not the message that you want to send. Because the other big problem with Archewell that I've always had is I don't know what it is. What does it do? It seems to just do whatever Harry and Meghan wanted to do at a particular time. And I think somebody was reporting, oh, the Archewell Foundation, the purpose of it is to just do good. Well, much like Meghan Markle's word salad that she did in Nigeria, that doesn't mean anything. That is literally nonsensical nonsense. Your foundation, to be good at what you do, you need a purpose, you need a passion. I enjoy talking about royals, all aspects. I kind of wrap it up into 4 things. I love the history, I love the drama, I love the jewelry, and I love the fashion. Those are the 4 things I love about royals. And because of that, I've created channels that reflect some of that passion. And so Meghan and Harry, they have this whole foundation. I don't know what their passion is because it changes every week. Nobody knows what their purpose is, what its purpose is. And it's been like that since the beginning because Harry and Meghan are also flighty. Harry and Meghan are flighty. They're not secure in what they're doing. They're not focused in what they're doing. So they're all over the place all the time. And I find it very, very aggravating because if you are doing well, you don't need to be jumping here, there, and everywhere to make things make sense. You have a vision. And if you have a vision, then you can help make things into a reality rather than Harry and Meghan's sole vision, at least as far as I can tell, is we want attention, we want money for the attention that we're getting. And that seems to be the sole purpose of everything they do. There just doesn't seem to be anything deeper behind it. Even when Meghan Markle was sharing with people, oh, it means so much, because you have to see somebody on the screen to believe something is possible. And I was like, how narrow-minded are you? She's very much like that. This is the second or third time she's repeated that narrative, is that you must see somebody. So in that context, the way she was talking about is that you must see her as a princess to believe that she can be a princess, or that any other African-American woman can be a princess. Well, there is somebody of mixed race within the Liechtenstein. That's Princess Angela of Liechtenstein. And she's been a royal for a number of years, much longer than you. And you have Emma, who is a Marchioness of Bath. There are many people who are mixed race within royal folds. And I'm sorry, but I've never been narrow-minded enough to believe that it had to be a person of European descent to be a royal. I've never believed that in the slightest. So the only person who seems to have that narrow-minded view is Meghan. And I think Archewell reflects that in many ways. She's narrow-minded and she can't really have a vision beyond herself. So ergo, Archewell doesn't really either. Archewell is floundering. And I think this whole episode sort of cements that in many ways. Because if you are focused, if this is your true goal and objective, would you not be keeping up with it? And you kind of wonder too, James Holt gets a heck of a lot of money for running that, and somehow this fell through the cracks. Again, interesting. Again, there's other explanations, of course. I'm not saying that there aren't, because let's always be fair. But it also raises, again, some really, really key questions about Archewell and its function, because Harry and Meghan, they only work on Archewell apparently about 1 hour every week. And so this, again, cements to people the fact that they don't really care about it. And so that's the third problem. Do Harry and Meghan even care that much about it? Or is it simply a means to an end? Is it a means to sort of push funds here and there as they need them? Or is it really something they're passionate about? And if you don't have passion for something, you're really up a creek without a paddle, because you need passion to make something successful. I've been watching a lot of Shark Tank recently. If you guys have been following my channel, you know that. And what you'll find is that sometimes they don't go with particular innovators. I think Mark Cuban is one of those people who's like, well, you're not passionate about what you're doing. You're not passionate about this particular product, this particular idea. And if you lack passion, then you're going to lack drive. And again, I think Harry and Meghan are there. they lack passion. They lack drive. I mean, they even renamed themselves Sussex.com in many ways because nobody knew what Archewell was because they haven't done enough to establish even what it is. Again, they add new things all the time. So there's a joke in Veep, and I don't think I've ever been able to find it because I wanted to share it with you guys because I thought it was so funny. But the idea in the show is that it's the ex-vice president or president, and she has this foundation now. And every time she has this idea, she adds a new thing to the foundation. It's like adult literacy, AIDS, like it ends up being so childhood obesity. It ends up being all these meandering, differing, conflicting things within this charity because she really doesn't care. She's only doing it because this is what she's expected to do. And I feel like Harry and Meghan in many ways are somewhat the same because I can't imagine this happening with Catherine or William and their charity. And of course, again, anything is possible, but I really feel like it is their passion. And also as well, they're not making any money from it. And so I think there's just a different thing. Whereas Harry and Meghan, yes, they're not making direct money from it, but it could be where they're, funneling some of their cash to avoid paying certain taxes. And we know what the Royal Foundation of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex is about because Catherine and William each have one thing that they're very passionate about. They have other things too, but they have two things that are really key for them. One for William is obviously conservation. He has the Earthshaw Prize. That is sort of the pinnacle of that. And Catherine, it's early years. So she has the early years project. And so because of that, they have these two things. Those are their two passions. And so they're able to continue to grow and drive this charity because they know what they're doing. They know what they're seeking out. They know what they're passionate about. And because of that, they're able to make their foundations work. Archewell isn't working. It hasn't worked for a long time. The name doesn't work. Harry and Meghan know this. This is why they've tried to change it. Nothing about Archewell is working. And because nothing about Archewell is working, it's becoming incredibly hard for Harry and Meghan to continue. And they've had this hiccup. It's embarrassing, especially post the Nigerian trip where they're, I think, on a high and all their supporters are on a high, and it will dissipate again because there's nowhere to go. But it does damage their credibility, I think, in a lot of ways because they really need to be able to prove to people that yes, oh yes, this is a charity and this is their focus. But the thing is, if they're only working 1 hour a week on it, do they really care? And I think the answer that we're seeing from this report and this conclusion is essentially no, perhaps they really don't care that much. It's not the focus of even their employees because their employees are looking at different things because it's always about promoting Harry and Meghan. And the charity is a way to camouflage some of their personal ambitions. I have said, and I consider this to be true for myself, if Meghan Markle was just clear to people and said, hey, I just want to make as much money as humanly possible, and that's all I care about, I'll be like, okay, at least you're being honest about it. What they do, and what even the Sussex squad does, is that they mask their personal ambitions in charity. So yeah, sure, you're being charitable, but at the end of the day, are you really doing this for the right reasons, or is it because it pads your bank account, it pads your ego in a certain way? Or are you really doing it because you are passionate about X? Because again, passion is key here. And Harry and Meghan are not passionate about Archewell. They're not passionate about what it's doing because it's really not doing that much. And that's by, perhaps you could argue, designed by Harry and Meghan. And they got to figure out now what they're going to do because the rest of the world is all of a sudden in on it and Archewell's on everybody's tongue in a worse way possible. And so I'm sure, again, they will probably get this resolved pretty quickly. But again, it's a massive, massive embarrassment to them, as it should be. They should be rightly embarrassed after their high of the Nigerian tour that all of a sudden it looks like they might have been doing that when they shouldn't have even been. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. But Harry and Meghan, they need to figure out if they want charity, if they want Archewell to be big and that people to pay attention to it, they really ought to be the ones who care about it. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of this latest thing. And yes, we will get a Nigeria wrap up out soon. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Now I shall see you soon. Bye.